boys and girls, and welcome to my preview of Arsenal's up-and-coming Premier League match against Bournemouth on Tuesday night. So we have just recorded back-to-back wins after the two defeats against Everton and Man City, with a very convincing and comprehensive 2-0 win against Crystal Palace. The highlight of that match was, of course, Olivier Giroud's scorpion kick goal. If you haven't seen it, then you must be living on the moon. It was very similar to the goal that Mkhitaryan scored very recently for Man United, but of course, Olivier Giroud's was a lot better than that one. Cue the salty Man United fans. As I said in my preview before the Crystal Palace game, it's all about 3 points right now. That is all that matters. We've got to keep winning and we've got to stay in touch with Chelsea and hope that they start losing games. So far so good. 2 wins out of 2 since our 2 defeats. But now we've got another test away to Bournemouth, which will not be easy. Bournemouth are currently sitting 11th in the Premier League and they are having a very good season right now under the guidance of a man that a lot of people have touted as a possible replacement for Arsene Wenger, Eddie Howe. But of course, that's a different subject and a different matter that we may have to discuss at the end of this season. A few statistics from Bournemouth this season. They've actually conceded more goals than they have scored. They've conceded 31 goals this season and scored 26. Their top goal scorer is Callum Wilson with 5. And their best player is, without a doubt, Jack Wilshere, one of our own. Luckily for this game though, he is suspended. And I feel that that loss will be massive for Bournemouth. As I said, they've conceded 31 goals this season. So that is where we can get at them. That is where we can cause the problems and that is where we can win this game. Because they are not watertight and they are leaking goals. But at the same time, we do have to be careful. They've had some good results this season. Most notably, they beat Liverpool 4-3 at the Vitality Stadium only a few weeks ago. We ourselves played Bournemouth only 5 weeks ago and we beat them in what looked like a convincing 3-1 victory at the Emirates. But the scoreline does not always tell a story and we were under a lot of pressure a lot of times during that game and Bournemouth caused a lot of problems, so we do have to be careful. In terms of Arsenal, what do I expect? Well, I expect the same kind of performance as Crystal Palace. A bit of intensity, a bit of drive and a bit of passion. I do feel that there will be some changes to this game, which is where I'll get to my 1 and 11 in a moment. And again, Arsene Wenger's got the selection headache. But as an Arsenal fan and the injuries we've suffered over the years gone by, this is a nice headache to have for once. So we go into my 1 to 11. And in goal, it's very simply Cech. He made some very, very crucial saves at the start of the second half against Crystal Palace. And he started to look himself again after some ropey performances in recent weeks. In at right back, we got Hector Bellerin. Position's not even up for debate. My centre-back pairing is Koscielny and Gabriel. I feel that he's going to save Mustafi and not rush him back. And with Preston at the weekend in the FA Cup, I feel that that is the perfect game to just start bedding Mustafi back into the team. Left back, Monreal. Again, Kieran Gibbs is injured, so we do not have any other choice than Monreal playing. He had a solid game against Crystal Palace, much better than previous performances. In the central midfield role, Francis Coquelin will come back in for El Neni. El Neni was brilliant against Crystal Palace, but he's now gone off to go and play for Egypt in the African Cup of Nations, so he will not be about. Coquelin for me comes back in and he will sit alongside Granit Xhaka. Again, brilliant performance from Xhaka against Crystal Palace. His passing range, as I've said many a time, is insane. He makes things tick and he's slowly starting to establish himself as one of the main players within our team. On the left-hand side of midfield, Alexis Iwobi. Now, I know he played in the number 10 position against Crystal Palace, but I feel that for this game, he will go back to his more orthodox role on the wing, where he gets to cut inside and cause problems. On the right-hand side of midfield, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Now, Lucas Perez didn't have a bad game against Crystal Palace. The first goal we scored, the Olivier Giroud goal, it actually started because of a great interception by Lucas Perez. I just feel that his best position is not on the wing. And when Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain came on for the last 10 minutes against Palace, he was brilliant. He caused a lot of problems and I feel that he's really hungry and really ready to start making a mark on this team. Theo Walcott, I believe, is still out injured, so this is the perfect opportunity to get pace and width back in the team with Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And if you remember last season at the Vitality Stadium, Oxlade-Chamberlain actually scored against Bournemouth, so you know, maybe you might do it again. In the number 10 role, Mesut Ozil. Now, we were told that he had an illness against Crystal Palace. I don't know what's actually going on. I hope it is just an illness and there's not something a little bit deeper than that. I feel that he will be back for this game. Will it be a massive loss if he is not back? Well, I don't think so, because we only have to look at the performance against Crystal Palace to see that we can do it without him. But for me, for my starting 11, I just feel that he will be back for this game, and he will obviously start in his usual number 10 role. Up front, I revert back to Alexis Sanchez. Now, I know Olivier Giroud scored that absolute worldie against Crystal Palace, but for me, he still does not give us the options that Alexis Sanchez does up front. Bournemouth are a passing team, they like to get the ball down, and they do like to play very much like the Arsenal way. I don't think that they will sit deep, and they will try and contain like West Brom, like Crystal Palace, and as you can see by the goals they've conceded this season, they are there to be got at. I feel that we will be more of a threat against Bournemouth with Alexis Sanchez and the pace up front. And of course, if things are going wrong, we have the best plan B in Olivier Giroud to come off the bench and produce the goods again. So that's my 1 to 11. I think that is a very strong lineup. There's a few little changes here and there, but not too much. As I said earlier, we're playing Preston this weekend in the FA Cup, and that is a game where I feel we will make some changes and we will start resting some very key players. Let me know what your predicted 1 to 11 will be. Let me know what your score predictions will be. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win, which is the exact same score as when we played them at the Emirates only 5 weeks or so ago. Like I said, we can't take them lightly. It will be a tough game, but I feel that we've got enough to beat them. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, make sure you like, and as I said, leave your comments below and let me know what you think. Lastly, I'd like to thank all my subscribers for their continued support, and I want to wish every single one of you a happy new year. And as I always say, Arsenal, do not let me down.